Welcome to the Breadcrumb Effect Podcast,
where we interview interesting people with a story to tell
and share what breadcrumbs they've picked up along the way. I'm Danny.
And I'm Brittany.
Welcome to the Breadcrumb Effect.
Welcome to the Breadcrumb Effect.
Dr. Kell, thank you so much for joining us today. It was really important for us to do an episode on manifestation for the new year. So, Dr. Kell, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Let's share a little bit about you and why you're here today. So, you reside in Massachusetts. You are a holistic chiropractor for 25 years. That's amazing. You are a manifestation coach using Dreams and Drive products. You are also a Reiki master, energy work practitioner. She helps people get in the driver's seat of their life, and we will talk more about that, and I'm excited to learn more. You turn their roadblocks into their roadmap, help them troubleshoot what's going on and when the engine light goes off in their dashboard. She helps them navigate their health and healing. She is passionate about helping people create lives they love and enjoy. Her tagline is, the key to health and healing is creating a life you love. And I'm just going to say this because you mentioned it to us. We know that you are at capacity, you are booked up, you have a waiting list. So you are doing all of this, providing your content, you have books out because you are so passionate about still helping others that aren't just people walking in your door. So thank you so much for taking the time to be with us today.
Oh, thank you. It's my pleasure.
Do you remember how we got to you and what our connecting point was?
Oh, yes. Yeah. So I got to you through Myrna from Manifesting Tribes. I love her website. She has the most amazing Instagram account. And she sent a newsletter and I responded back to her newsletter because I absolutely love her content. And then she sent me your information and said that you'd be reaching out. So I'm like,
it's perfect.
Sure.
It's like our own little breadcrumb. And we're talking to her today as well. So we feel very lucky to have you both on.
Dr. Kell, we'd love to know, how did you get started? I know that we kind of talked a little bit offline about the guides, and we'd love to hear a little bit more about what drew you to this.
So I've always known ever since I was a little girl that I had a guidance system. And, you know, I grew up in the 70s and 80s and we didn't have social media or anything like that. So our influence was ourselves, our family, our friends, you know. And I always knew that if I followed my own advice, I'd get what I wanted. For instance, you know, I'm little, I'm building a fort. I'm like, I really want my fort to look like this. I'd be like, oh, there's a perfect stick. There's a perfect rock. You know what I'm saying? Like everything I wanted to find, I found to create what I wanted, right? And then maybe somebody else would tell me advice. But I'm like, that doesn't feel right. So I was always somebody who like followed my own heart, followed my own gut. Did that through high school, did that through college. And then my first book, so like I already knew this and I talked to people about it and stuff like that, but it wasn't a thing, right? But my first book I ever found, literally I was in a bookstore and I was in the looking at the shelves and all of a sudden like this book almost fell off the shelf. And I picked it up and it was called Excuse Me, Your Life is Waiting by Lynn Grabhorn. And I was like, oh my God. So I started reading it. And it was like the light bulb went off in my head. This is something I've done my whole entire life. And now it's a thing, right? Now she wrote about it and it's called The Law of Attraction. And from that moment on, I started teaching it to all my patients. And I just was like, wow, you know, like I always tried to teach my patients to, you know, get in their driver's seat before that concept came through for me. But once I had that book, I was like, wow, mind blown. Because sometimes things don't seem real until we see it in writing or if it's in a book, right? And then when you find a book that explains something you've been doing your whole life, you get excited about it. At least I do.
So wait, I want to go back a little bit. You mentioned as a kid, you were building a fort.
Yep.
And you would almost like envision the fort and you would say, oh, I found the perfect rock. I found the perfect stick. You were trusting your gut at a very young age before we even knew what that really even meant, I feel like there was nothing to show
Oh,
you.
1000%.
How did you I feel that how do we know how to do that? Like, how did you know how to trust your gut? Because I feel like we don't do that as kids. I never did that.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I did it so often, I took it for granted. Like, I can just remember, like, I'm very visual. Like, in my mind, I'm like, this is what I want the fort to look like. I'd be like, I want these curtains. I'd go inside the house and I'd find like an old t-shirt, or I'd find, old pieces of stuff. And I'm like, that's the exact curtain I want. You know what I'm saying? So I just put pieces together. And my sister and I were both that way. I think we would see things as well. I think, I can remember when one of my aunts passed away. Yeah, my sister and I were sitting side by side, and the fireplace was on, and we literally like saw her in the fireplace singing "You Light Up My Life." So I kind of was always like knowing that I was always guided, or I had this guidance system. I would never have called it that, but I always knew that if I followed my own gut, I don't know, even if I called it my gut or whatever, I knew if I followed my own intuition, then I could have what I wanted, then I could create what I wanted. And then I always had like a sense of other people around me, things that I couldn't see around me that was supporting me.
Wow.
That's so amazing. And like anything, right? You fine tune it. You have to work at it. You have to be open to it.
Yes.
So can we hear a little bit about things that you have manifested?
Oh my gosh. So, first of all, my whole life is about manifestation. If you ask any of my friends, or you ask any of my patients or my family, I eat, sleep, drink, breathe manifestation. So that's a tough one. Like, I manifest everything. I think what's really good to talk about are the times where you put out there what you want and you don't even think about it anymore. You kind of like just think about what you want, and then things show up for a reason. For instance, I had a practice. I live on Cape Cod, but I had a practice off Cape Cod. And when I came to Cape Cod, my kids were young, and I wasn't really thinking about jumping into practice again because I've always been at capacity. I've always had a waiting list, and I just wanted a little bit of time for me and my kids to settle in. And literally went to the library to take out a library book for the kids, and out of my mouth comes, are there any places for me to teach down here? And I was like, oh my God, sneaky, you know? And I was like, how did this happen? So that's like indirect manifestation, something that I wasn't even trying to manifest, but I manifested because every day I wake up, I say, how may I serve? Whether it's how may I serve my family or how may I serve my patients, and I always want to help people. That's one thing I can say too. Ever since I was a little girl, I knew that I was here to help people, but I wasn't here to tell people what to do. I always knew I was going to teach people how to help themselves using their own guidance system. I knew that was a theme throughout my whole life. So that's when, so out of my mouth comes at the library that day, is there a place for me to teach? And literally the lady behind the counter, I had just moved there, I knew nobody. They're like, oh yeah, there's this place down here that you can teach at. Here's the card, go ahead and call the person. So I'm sitting here, my kids are in the back seat, and I was like, all right, well, I always listen to my guides and angels no matter what. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to go ahead and do this. I made a phone call, and before you knew it, I started teaching there, and it started my whole career down here. And again, I wasn't going to go ahead and do everything that I did. I only had one book at the time, and I was like, I'm not going to teach all of this. Well, guess what happens? I saw one person, then two people, then I'm at capacity again. So I tease my patients. I love them, and I tell them, I'll never be able to retire because it's like I've tried to retire a few times, and they're like, no, no, no. So it's funny, but yes. So that's a form of indirect manifestation. Other than that, I I practice manifestation in my daily life. So whatever it is I want to manifest, I'm always practicing that.
I was actually just thinking, Dr. Kelly, you said that you wake up every morning and say, how do I serve?
How
How
may I
may I
serve?
serve?
Yes.
And I feel that, like, sometimes if we get into manifestation, people might want to manifest things that are more like a little bit selfish. right? Like they dream about something crazy, like I want more money, more cars, house, I don't know, right? But that's like what might come to mind at the beginning. But I feel like there's a huge turning point when someone shows up every day and you're asking your guides, how may I serve? I
Mhm.
think at that point, that might be a big switch. I don't know. I could be wrong, but that's a big switch into getting what you want and maybe what you don't know that you want because you're coming from a place of contribution and not a selfish
Yes.
heart. So that's beautiful. Oh, I need to write this down. This is beautiful.
I know, I know. What I love too, and Brittany, to piggyback on what you're saying, is there's a consistent theme here is that you're trusting it. You're trusting the process, you're trusting yourself, and then you're trusting the future of what will come based on that trust. So that's amazing.
Yeah, in fact, I want to just say a couple of different things. So, as far as my guides, I believe that guides come into your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. So many times, and because I am a Reiki master, I do Reiki on my patients, but I wouldn't call it Reiki. I am a Reiki master, but I'm an integrated energy therapy practitioner, a master instructor there. So I just call it energy work because we all have natural energy. I am not special at all. By the way, every single thing that I'm talking about today, I am not special. I teach my patients how to do everything that I do. Always. That's why I have my books and that's why I have my online courses. So I do something with my patients called a spiritual guide change. So what that means is when they're going through a transition and they need different guides, we do a meditation where we literally like break up the spiritual board members that are there. We thank them for being with them on the journey with us. Some of them leave and then new ones come in. And then we say, all right, well, what are you trying to manifest? And then we put that paper down onto the board members' papers. And then all the guides and angels like imbibe it into their body. You know, there's a process we do. It's a meditation. So now everybody's got the software update, right, of what we are going to be trying to manifest. So again, that's a spiritual guide change. It's just a meditation I do with my patients so that they can get different guides to help them on their next, whatever they're going to try to create.
Crazy question, Dr. Kell. Are your guides people that you might know, or are they just random guides? I you
Okay, well, that's a good question. So I don't personally, I believe that you always have like one or two guides that are with you for a lifetime, but I think other guides are come in. I don't see my guides, so I don't know if they're people I know. Now, I do know when my dad has passed, and I know so strongly when he is visiting, the signs are unmistakable. I can tell you a million stories, but that's not what this is about. So I do definitely know when a loved one comes through for me and gives me a sign or a breadcrumb. I mean, all the time. And that happens all the time with everybody in my family, from my dad. But as far as my guides, I don't know if any of them have if I've known them before. But I do know I do this concept in my practice, and I think it came from Neville Goddard. I'm not quite sure, but anyways, he will teach you how to if you are like trying to manifest something. Like I love Wayne Dyer, Louise Hay, Neville Goddard. There's a lot of people that I would want to have them for my mentor. So I will literally sit down with a piece of paper and a pencil and pretend they're sitting at a table with me. And I have a concept I'm trying to work on with a patient or myself or something I'm trying to manifest. And I'll literally use them like they're sitting there on my board and say, okay, Louise, what would you say to me? What advice would you give me? Okay, Wayne, what advice would you give me? Okay, Neville, what advice would you give me? Or a deceased loved one, what advice would you give me? So, I do actually use that concept. So sometimes I'll do it on purpose, and then sometimes I will just receive guidance. Does that make sense?
No, that's
I
beautiful.
love that. I think I'm gonna need to try that.
You know?
Like
Wait,
I know.
it's so profound, and you will get answers that it couldn't come from your own mind. It couldn't come from yourself. It just couldn't, because we are source energy in a body, right? We're spiritual beings having human experience. We're never ever source is always with us. It's like we can unplug from it, but it's always available. It's just like the whatever we're tuned into with the internet. You can't get rid of that, right?
It's so true. And I like
Yeah,
that you use the word source. And so honestly, any creative listening knows that whether they're creating art through painting or art through words and writing or, creating movies, creatives know that oftentimes the inspiration doesn't come from within, right? If I'm writing and my fingers are moving, the source is just flowing through me, and these aren't my ideas. I don't know where these are coming from, but they're flowing through me and they're entering the page. And I think a lot of artists can relate to that same feeling.
1,000%. Everything I've ever created, I have manifested in not just for myself, but for myself and my patients. My whole life is taking care of people, and I don't mind that. I mean, I take breaks, I teach boundaries, I use my bumpers, right? But I love to serve. I love to help. That's why I created all the books and courses I did, because I'm at capacity in my practice, but I still want other people to create lives they love and enjoy. And that's why I do that,
I want to hear more about what is this, that's not a mantra, but this, let me see, let me go back to it. It's this kind of this analogy that you use for describing manifestation. And you use this image or this description of a car that makes a lot of sense to a lot of people. So can you share more about this analogy that you use?
Absolutely. So, like I was telling you, being a holistic chiropractor, when people come into me, first of all, nobody comes in with back pain, shoulder pain, headaches, right? They come in saying, I have back pain, I have shoulder pain, and I have headaches. Why? So, and at the time when I first was in practice, I took insurance. So I only had a certain amount of time to help these people. So every day I wake up, how may I serve? How may I serve? How may I serve? What does that mean? I want my patients to have the answers to the questions that they're asking me. So they would say, I have shoulder pain. I have neck pain. I have headaches. Okay, yes, you have that. So I would figure out the physical reasons why they had it. Are they out of alignment? Do they have trigger points? Are they doing something in their life that's causing that? Is it mental or emotional? Shoulders are our shoulds. Right side of the body is male or physical. Left side is female or emotional. Shoulders, so the right shoulder is, I should be doing something or I shouldn't have done something. Left side is female or emotional. I should be this way. I shouldn't have been this way, right? And then neck is threat, physical threat, mental threat, emotional threat, chemical threat. Okay. So I would teach my patients, I take a coaching approach and a teaching approach. I teach them what's going on in your life that's causing this. And then I would find out 9 times out of 10, they were not loving their life. So I had to figure out a way to teach them how to love their life, right? So the key to health and healing is creating a life you love. So I would teach them kind of about, I talked earlier about the book, Excuse Me, Your Life is Waiting. So I would try to teach them about manifestation and stuff. And I was doing a good job, but I didn't have one solid analogy, and I was okay with that. In Memorial Day of 2007, I was going out for a run, and I heard from my guides, today's going to be a very memorable day. And I'm always sassy with my guides. I'm like, oh yeah, great. It's Memorial Day. You're bright, woohoo, and it was like literally comes through me. I was like shaking. I was like goosebumps head to toe. And it was like, it literally just flashed me pictures. And I know if you're creative, you know exactly what I'm talking about, right? Yeah, like if you're creative, like you get pictures, you get sounds, you get all these things, right? So it was literally a car analogy. It was like, what are you putting in your windshield? Where do you want to go? What do you want to do? How do you want to feel? Who do you want to become? I was like, okay. And then keep your past in the rearview mirror, right? That's your past. And it literally showed me in a car, like, you're not going to get to where you're going if you're looking in your rearview mirror. Then it was saying, you have a guidance system. And I was like, oh yeah, because I've known that ever since I was a little girl. It's your HGS instead of the GPS. It's your human guidance system, right? And it's our head, it's our heart, it's our gut, it's our senses. So it told me that. And that went through the side mirrors, using your horn, backseat drivers, passengers, just went through everything. Our vents, right? That's the people that warm us up when we're feeling cold and that cool us down when we're hot headed, right? So it just went through this whole analogy. And I was like, oh my God. So I got home and I literally wrote out everything. And then I started to sketch. So I just started sketching it out. And then I was telling my family, I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to teach everybody about they all have their own human guidance system. And I don't even know. I think GPS, what the concept of a GPS system in the car was just coming out. I didn't really know what they were. I didn't really understand the whole concept of it way back in 2007 when it came out. But it totally made sense. And I kept getting downloads and downloads, and I kept writing it down. And my very first book was called Are You in Your Driver's Seat? And my brother and sister came on board, and we started teaching this to people, and it's been great. Now it has it's morphed into Dream and Drive. So yes, so when people would come into me now as a patient, right, since say 2009 it all got finished. Now when they come in as a patient and they have shoulder pain or back pain or neck pain, yes, we go through, is it physical? Is it mental or emotional? Is it chemical? What are you putting in, on, or around your body? Or is it spiritual? Is this a life lesson? Then what I say is, now let's give yourself permission to get in your driver's seat and create a life you love. So the first question I ask my patients is, where do you want to go? What do you want to do? Who do you want to become? How do you want to feel? Because they're not there for the neck pain, the back pain, and the shoulder pain. That is the symptoms. It's not the root cause.
Mm-hmm. It's so true. And so I can attest to that. I've been on a whole health and healing journey that's combined yoga, meditation, and then going to the chiropractor. And it was actually the chiropractor that recommended me to do some PT for my back. And right, the physical therapist, the doctor there, doesn't know about this whole other journey that I'm working on. And he's touching my back, and he just touches my shoulders, and he says, wow, you have a lot of anxiety. I had just been diagnosed with my anxiety late in life. And he's like, you hold it here and here. And he starts saying exactly what you said. Just by touching my back, he can tell me exactly how I'm feeling emotionally and the burdens and the things that I was carrying in my life. And if you look at the whole picture, you start getting that whole healing journey. So I can absolutely attest to the things that you're saying.
Yeah, I teach my patients this. So I do have an online course. It's called the Body Scan Technique, where I teach people how to go through each body point, their lungs, their liver, like all our organs. And if it's down in energy, you ask yourself, is this something physical? Is it something mental or emotional? Mental is you're thinking it. Emotional is you're responding to it. Chemical, is this something I'm putting in, on, or around my body? And then spiritual, is it a lesson? Because think of how empowered you are when you can get the answers to those questions, right? Like when you're laying there on that physical therapist table, like, okay, is this muscular? Yes or no? Is it tendons? Is it ligaments? Is it, am I out of alignment, right? Do I need this? Do I need this? Like we can get those answers from our body. That's our guidance system. But I teach people how to tune into that guidance system.
True. They say trauma is held in the hips. We hear about that a lot in yoga.
Yes, absolutely. Hips are standing in a situation and fear of moving forward. Standing in a situation you don't like and fear of moving forward.
Writing that down.
I know. I feel like I'm having out of body experience right now.
Does it bring you back any memories, Brittany? I laugh, but I'm like,
Still don't.
So I want to say something else too. So when you and I met, when we met and I got introduced to you, it's funny. Before we did, I was on Instagram and I saw your logo come across, like the Breadcrumb Effect, and I was like, oh my God, that is so cool. I love it. But it was only for a quick second. And when something comes by for a quick second, you can't get back to it. And I was like, oh, I saw it. And I was like, oh, I love this. And then it scrolls up because, if you're not on, you know how that happens, right? But so I saw your logo and I saw that. I was like, oh my God, that's so cute. So then once I once we got introduced, I was like, oh, I'm going to go see what they're about. And everything is energy. That's another thing, right, guys? We have to talk about that. Every single thing is energy. So I'm like, I'm going to go and like look at all your Instagram page. Oh my God. Talk about the key to health and healing is creating a life you love. Right? I mean, you girls, I love you. You are so authentic. You're having so much fun. You are so real. I love this. Love every aspect. I love how you're coming out of the bushes, right? And you're like, should we do this? I love when you guys are in the tree and you're taking the pictures in the tree. I'm like, I love it. We talked about this a little bit earlier, like doing the pole, up and down the pole. Like, I love this because, listen, guys, it's so true. Like, this is who we really are. This is who we really are, right? And it's like, why do we have to censor ourselves? The reason why we don't get what we want in life is because we negotiate with ourselves all the time. We censor ourselves all the time. And guess what? The body weeps the tears. The eyes refuse to shed. And if you're not going to be yourself, it's going to stay in you. You're only as sick as your secrets. That's a thing, right? So the body weeps the tears, the eyes refuse to shed. If you are not expressing yourself, if you're not being who you are, you're going to be sick.
That is
Cal,
so
I have
true.
to ask a question because I feel that, you know, in my line of work, I do real estate and it's all studying human behavior, right? And we all wear a mask and we wear different masks for maybe different people, right? In front of some people, you're one way, other people, you're another
Yes.
way. Is there a way that we could, because we all do it. I still do it. I feel like I've gotten better, but it still happens. You unconsciously you do it. Do you find is there a way to manifest shedding the mask that we put on for different people to truly become our authentic self?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. It's a choice. It's a choice that you can be 100% who you are. And you just you're going to have thick skin because people are going to judge you. They just are. But you just have to know that about yourself. Be who you are. Everybody can tell. Not people can't tell if you're wearing a mask all the time because some people are really good at wearing a mask, But it just depends. I think if we are authentic, but we match our energy to the appropriateness of the situation. In other words, you were really, really goofy, right? And I'm goofy too. And I'm like that with all my patients. I mean, sometimes we're like so funny, we're looking in the corner or like, is this kid a camera? Because like some of the stuff we do, right? But the point is, like, if I was to be at a dinner and I needed to be professional, I would say it's not really a mask, but it's like I would match my energy to the appropriateness of that, But I definitely believe that you can go ahead and not have a mask on. And I'll say it this way, that is your default mode network. It's an old belief system that you believe that you had to wear a mask because you were taught that at a young age that whoever you're being isn't appropriate. So I recently came up with, again, a manifestation of mine recently is it does have to do with my car too. So I always laugh. I was in my car driving and the maintenance light was on. So I said, oh, my car needs maintenance. I'm just thinking that in my head. And my guides are like, yeah, you need an alignment check. And I'm like, oh, I need an alignment check on my car? They're like, no, you need an alignment check. I'm like, I need an alignment check? And my guides are like, yeah. Are you in alignment with your dreams? Are you in alignment with this decision you just made in your practice? Are you in alignment with the food program you're following? Are you in alignment with blah, blah, blah? So I was like, what does that mean? So I'm driving on the highway, and I'm literally talking to my guides, and they're like, is your mind in coherence with your dreams? Is your mind in coherence with this program? I love that. So cute. Is your mind in coherence with this? Is your heart in coherence with this? Is your high heart in coherence with this? Is your gut in coherence? So my point is, we have to be in coherence in all those areas to be in alignment to where we want to go, what we want to do, how we want to feel, or who we want to become. The mask is you have a mask over one of those areas. It could be over your heart because imagine it's over your heart and you want a new relationship. You're going to act like somebody you're not at first. You can do that for about 6 months. Then your true self comes out, right? So, and the same thing with your mind. You might have a mask about how you look, how you feel, whatever, how you talk, etc. But eventually the mask is going to come off. You know what I'm saying? So that's where the mask comes in. You're masking one of those areas: your mind, your heart, your high heart, or your gut. Somewhere along the way, you have a mask on.
This is awesome. No, I
sense?
think that this is something that everyone can take away, and I really want to point it out. Hi, Bella. Uh, um,
I thought my kids were going to jump on my lap.
That'd be so fun. We all have our animals. I think it's so important that everyone who's listening understands the alignment check, because I think that's so important. Too often, I feel that sometimes we might manifest something, but we're not in alignment with what we truly want. And so then the manifestation
100%.
is a moot point. I don't know, maybe it doesn't happen, or maybe it does, but you're still not happy. And so I guess my question to you, Dr. Kelly, we're going into the new year. A lot of people have vision boards or want to manifest, and I truly want people to manifest, like you said, the life that they love. Like, if we could all be happy and live our best lives, like, how fucking great would that be? So what would your advice be to manifest the life that we want going into the new year?
Oh, so I would definitely say this. You have to make sure you're in alignment with that manifestation. You have to. And it can be anything, but not just in alignment with your manifestation, in alignment with the inspired action that you're getting from your guides and angels of the next step. So your mind has to be in coherence. Your heart has to be in coherence. Your high heart has to be in coherence, and your gut has to be in coherence. That's what alignment is. So what happens? How do you know if you're in alignment with that, right? So I teach people how to test: is your mind in alignment? Is your heart? Is your high heart? Is your gut? And when it's not, we locate and identify the mental and emotional blockages. And by the way, it's not just a mental and emotional blockage. My guide showed me a picture of a jellyfish. So imagine you have a mind block, a mental emotional block in your mind that has to do with trying to manifest something. Imagine it's insecurity. Okay, imagine that the insecurity comes up as your answer, right? There's a whole way of figuring this out. So the insecurity comes up, but it's not just insecurity. It's like a jellyfish with all the tentacles. It's insecurity. So what is the root cause in all the different trendles and all the different reasons and all the different things that are attached to that root cause? Like, why did it originally happen? Why are you insecure? So the root cause, the mental and emotional container, where is that in your body? Where is that contained in your body? All the trapped emotions, the unprocessed emotions from that insecurity, right? And then how is that blocking your manifestation? Okay, so there's a whole thing, like a whole jellyfish, and then I teach them how to release that from their mind, right? So all of that goes away and unravels. And then same thing. So usually I'll find about 5 to 6 blockages, maybe a little bit more in each section. But so I teach people how to find out if their mind, each section is in alignment, find out what the mental emotional blockages are, remove those, and then they have this clearness. And it's a quick check. I mean, I teach them how to muscle test themselves, and I do it in my life all the time. Maybe I want to go ahead and change up my fitness program. Is my mind in coherence with this? Yes or no? Is my heart in coherence with this? Yes or no? Is my high heart? Yes. Is my gut? Yes. If I'm getting my yeses, I'm going to do it. If I'm not getting my yeses, I'm going to see if there's mental and emotional blockages. If there's not mental and emotional blockages, it's not for me.
You know what else I like hearing is that we hear about manifestation, and maybe a lot of people just think this starting out. They think about they need to manifest things or money or things that really they think will serve them. But what we've been talking about are those intangible things, sort of like the emotional things, like you said, masking or, just showing up differently. And I think that's a really key indicator here that we're not just talking about manifesting things in your life. It's also the people that we are.
Right. Who do you want to become? Believe it or not, the most I see in my practice, I've never once had a patient come in to me and say, I have back pain. We test everything. And it's like, I want a new car. It wasn't that. It wasn't, you know what I'm saying? I promise you, it wasn't like, I want a new car, I want a new house. It was never that. It was like, who do I want to become?
I'm glad that y'all mentioned that because, I feel that, when we think about manifesting for the new year or a vision board or goals, right? A lot of times, and I was guilty of this, I would say about 7 years ago, I was doing a vision board, and it was, and I would write down these goals that I would have, right? And I would write them down every single day. And at the beginning, it was stuff like, I want to sell X amount of homes. I want to have this amount of money in my bank account at all times. All these things. And I found that as some of those things were happening, I was not feeling happier. And I transitioned to
Right.
one of the things I write daily is I am full of peace and joy, and I am completely fulfilled. Those are my two favorite ones that I write down every single day. Because you can have all the shit in the world. Who gives a fuck if you're not happy? I'm glad you said that, Danny.
Yeah, when it comes to money, that is such a good thing. I mean, that is so huge. And when it comes to money, I always teach people I have plenty of money to use, to spare, and to share. Because we don't want money to want money. We don't want a car to have a car. It's how we're going to feel when we're in that car. How are we going to feel when we have more money? My idea of success, I told you I live on Cape Cod. My idea of success, I have people with my patients that we do this, like all this stuff that we're talking about today. And then I have patients that I'm a traditional chiropractor, okay? My idea of success is watching the lobstermen out there doing their job, doing exactly what they love to take care of their families. It's the oystermen doing this. You know what I'm saying? Like taking care of their families. My idea of success is you living your best life, period, end of story. So yeah, you're right. We can manifest a new car. We can manifest selling more houses, right? But it's the feeling that we want. And and that's okay. What I find too is, imagine in your case, you want to manifest this goal of selling this many houses, and then you do the dream alignment technique. Is your mind, is your heart, whatever. If you do that and you find out you have mental, emotional blockages in different places and you remove them, you're naturally going to feel better. And you're naturally going to get those things because of who you become.
I love that. I love that.
Who you become in the process.
Is there a wrong way to manifest?
Well, I can say this. We're always manifesting. Manifesting isn't a thing, okay? I want you to literally think of life as, okay, you're in your driver's seat all the time. You're always connected to source energy. Always connected to source energy. Source energy, and this is your nervous system is connected to that. Okay, our brain, our reticular activated system is connected to that. You can't unconnect from it. So whatever you think about and feel about, you're going to bring about. Okay, so you can manifest by default. There's not a wrong way to manifest. But if you continue to think shitty thoughts, negative thoughts, not only is it terrible for your immune system, for your nervous system, for nervous system regulation, for the health of your body, but you will attract more of that feeling in your life because like energy attracts like energy. I know that because this is what I've been doing for 25 years. I just know that. So there's not a wrong way to manifest, but you are either living the same life over and over again because you're making the same choices day in and day out, or you get in the car, you put into the windshield where you want to go, what you want to do, how you want to feel, who you want to become, and you on purpose keep your past in the rearview mirror. Remind me to say that in a second too, guys, about keeping your past in the rearview mirror. And then plugging into your guidance system. I have something called the Driver's Daily Checklist. Plugging into your guidance system where you want to go, what you want to do, how you want to feel, or who you want to become. And then your guidance system is connected to your reticular activating system, which is connected to source energy. And that's going to bring you in the directions moment to moment. But we don't need to know what's out there. Like if I'm going from Cape Cod to Florida, I don't need every direction. I just need to know what's coming up the next two things. right? So there's no right or wrong way. But if you keep thinking negative thoughts, you're going to start attracting more of that. Or you're going to live the same life on called your default mode network, which is exactly like automatic in your brain.
You post something recently for, I don't know if it was your birthday, and you posted something like, I'm not going to live the same life that I was living.
Oh, I did. There's two things that I'll probably say from that. It was a quote. So on my writing account, like you say, I'll just be driving and these words will pop in my head and I just feel like I would need to share them. So the words that I said was something along the lines of, yeah, same me, different year. I don't want that for myself. And it was
Yeah.
as simple as that. And it's
There
saying
you
that
go.
I don't want to be the same me every year. And then I don't remember the other thing, but it was probably good.
If nothing changes, if nothing changes. Like, and I'm happy to see you with the same complaints every single time, but you're not going to get a different answer from you. I will love you where you are. I will love you right where you are every single day if you don't change. But change is a choice, and you make that change today. It's the results that take a while. But you can change today. The results take a while because that's part of the manifestation process. And guys, we don't want instant manifestation. If everybody thinks they want instant manifestation. Look at all the negative thoughts all the time that they think. And if then they're manifesting that instantly. We wouldn't want that. Another thing I see too is I'll have people say, this is what I want. And they want more money or they want more social media presence and they want all these things. But they never think about that. They think about how they look and how they feel. And it's like the universe, your source energy is responding to your vibration. You can put out there what you want all day long. But if you're criticizing yourself and you're not feeling good and all these things, you're on two different am I making sense to you? You can't say I want to manifest this and then in your daily life you forget about your manifestation. You keep complaining how you look, how you feel, you don't feel good. You know what I'm saying? This is why I teach people how to create a life they love and enjoy. So then everything's in alignment.
Brittany and I were just talking about how we should, what was the word that you used? Because I was like, you can't live by a timeline. But Brittany's like, what is it that you said?
Maybe we should adjust the words instead of having a negative connotation. Allow yourself a longer timeline, or not like can't have a certain timeline.
Well, how about this? Nothing's more important than I feel good. So I want to feel good on that timeline all the time. So on the way to that timeline, during the timeline, after that timeline, really, when people get stuck, I'm like, guys, listen, you don't have to sit here and manifest all the time. The number one thing I want you to remember is nothing is more important than that you feel good. And does that sound a little selfish? Well, put it this way. If you don't feel good, you're not the best version of yourself for you being a mom, for being a doctor in my case, for being a podcaster and a writer and a real estate agent. Nothing's more important. You feel good because when you feel good, you light up the room, you light up your world. So, and it's good for your nervous system and it's good for your immune system, right? Nothing's more important. You feel good. So, if you can't think of anything to do, the best thing to do is focusing on feeling good. And if you can't feel good, find relief.
Good point. Before we started all of this, I was in tech and I had a chronic sinus infection almost the whole time I was there. I had 12 to 14 a year. I was ready to go in for surgery and I had.
You want me to tell you
because I haven't had one since.
Sinuses is irritation to one person or one situation.
That's interesting. I know.
That's so
and maybe
cool.
I wasn't in alignment there, right? Like I loved the company. I loved my role. I loved the work we did, but there must have been something. I mean, obviously I'm here and I feel fulfilled doing this to I jump out of bed excited to write. I jump out of bed to do these things with Brittany. And I wasn't jumping out of bed like I was before, even though I loved it. But you're right. To your point, I wasn't fully in alignment.
Mm-hmm. Do you know how many people I have? So I live south of Boston, 2 hours. And do you know how many people I have in my practice? By the way, I see people from all over the world because I do Zoom appointments as well. I have so many people that have so much money. They don't even know what to do with it. They have so much money. They're terribly unhappy. So again, your idea of success was not staying in that tech job because it was an expired contract. It wasn't for you anymore, right? So many people, they might have all the money in the world, and they're the most unhealthy people because they're not fulfilled, because they don't love their life. And you know what they pray for? A simple life.
True. The words that I used when I left, because my role was a global role, it was very demanding, rewarding, but demanding. And when I left, the words that I used was, I just want to make my world smaller. Like, let's just make it easier. Let's make the world slower and smaller.
I was going to say, I think that when we were growing up, a measure of success was money or status or what role you had.
Yes.
And as I've gotten older, I feel like we've transitioned as a society as well. We're starting to realize that success is your time. Success is who are you getting to spend time with that you love and care about. And it is the
1000%.
simple. Dr. Kelly, you mentioned they want a simple life. I feel like we're going back to that simplicity.
Amen.
I'm here for
thank
this.
God.
I want to just bake bread at home. I'm not a baker or a cook or anything, but in my mind, I am a little homesteader.
I am a little homesteader too. Although I don't have a good garden, I am growing herbs. That's good. But no, I totally believe. I think that simple life makes a humongous difference. And by the way, when I talk about dis-ease, EMFs are huge. Like being on social media all the time is huge. It's not good for our health. So that's why we feel so good when we're out in nature, because all the trees, look at all the essential oils that are out there, right? Just from breathing in everything and the nature and the grounding and everything like that. So I think it's important that we get back to that, because yes, so I'll tell you a quick manifestation story. When I was in college, I was always good at math and science. And so I was like, well, what am I going to go to school for? I always wanted to learn about the human body, but I didn't want to become a medical doctor because I'm very alternative. I'm like one of those, I'm like way out there in left field, woo woo, and everything else. Like I wouldn't fit in a medical thing, so that's why I'm a chiropractor. But so I got a degree in accounting and finance. But I have this little thing, like I'm a social butterfly and I talk to anything that has a pulse. So like accountants are boring. So I did not love my job. I love the people I worked with. Of course I did, right? But so this is how manifestation works. I was so bored and I was really good at my job. I worked for an insurance company. I got the accounting done really, really quickly. So I said, do you have any other jobs I can do? Please, I'm bored. So they're like, yeah, why don't you go to this outsized quality control center? And I want you to do a stub wrinkle report. I'm like, what's that? So this is just when barcodes became a thing. So I worked for an insurance company and they needed the barcodes to be printed so that they could automatically send people's checks through. Okay, this is 1991. So I had to go to this outside vendor and sit there for hours upon hours and take my hands and go close my eyes and go like this and find how many of these stubs had wrinkles in them. So hours and hours for like a year, like this, close my eyes and feel these stub wrinkle reports. And every time I felt a little wrinkle, I had to write it down. Like there was 1,000 wrinkles today in this report. I just had to sit there. So I did that. So now, right? So now I moved to Iowa and I want to become a chiropractor. By the way, there's 5 chiropractors in my family. My sister and I went to chiropractic school together. My other sister married a chiropractor out there, blah, blah, blah. So guess what you have to have when you're a chiropractor? We see with our hands. We see with our fingers. So when I went to chiropractic school and we started palpating, it's called, I was like, oh yeah, I can feel everything, because I sat there and I had to literally get my fingers so used to every tiny little thing. But this is how manifestation works. Like I manifested a job prior to me being a chiropractor so I could feel everything. Huge breadcrumb. And not only that, I did physical and occupational therapy and taught aerobics for 10 years. So I was used to feeling people's bodies. So I taught trigger point therapy. That's one thing I'm definitely known for is trigger point therapy too, because trigger point in your body feels like a tight muscle, but it also feels like a mosquito bite, if you will. Like if you touch the tip of your nose, that feels like a trigger point. If you touch your lip, that's a normal, healthy muscle. So in other words, same thing, that stub wrinkle report, I could feel a trigger point really easily, and I could feel everything in the spine really easily.
Okay, Dr. Kell, you gave us a huge breadcrumb just now. I mean, that if that's not a breadcrumb, I don't know what is. Are there any other breadcrumbs in your life that you felt led you exactly to where you were meant to be that you want to share?
1000%. So when I was in chiropractic school, I was 30 years old at the time, and I wanted to have children, and I was trying everything to get pregnant, and I couldn't get pregnant. So one girl in my class was from Canada, and she went to this chiropractor up in Canada that did muscle testing. And so she's like, why don't you go ahead and come into the closet and I'll check your ovaries and uterus to see if they're working. And if they're not, then you can go to this doctor. Now, I'm from Boston, and I was like, oh, no, I'm from Massachusetts. I'm like, what do you mean, like, go into the closet and you're going to check my ovaries and uterus? What is up with that? Like, I thought we're chiropractors. Anyways, being the good person I am, I sat, like, there's 200 people in the class, and I sat directly across as far away as I could from her, because I was like, oh my dear God, what is going on here? So anyway, so now, like a couple of months have gone by, and I'm still not pregnant. Now, at the point where I'm ready to just like stand on my hands and knees and just eat grass if I have to. Like, I'm just like, I know I want to have babies now, because once I get out of chiropractic school, I don't want to go ahead and start a practice and try to get pregnant then. So I had been trying every single thing, nothing was working, blah, blah, blah. So I went back, checked the tail between my legs, and said to her, okay, do we have to go in the closet to check the ovaries and the uterus? Can we go into a hallway or something? Like, what are you going to do to me? And so I'm just telling you, this is a true story. So she's like, hold out your arm. So I did. I held out my arm. She's touching different points down below my belly button. And she's like, oh, your ovaries and uterus, they're not talking to each other. I'm like, oh, okay. And now I'm thinking, what the hell am I back into? Like, I'm ready to avoid this woman again. But something clicked in me. So, I went home and I talked to my husband at the time, and I was like, she had me hold out my arm and check these points on me and said my ovaries and uterus weren't talking. And he goes, oh, I know what that is. He goes, that's muscle testing. I actually went to a doctor that did that down in Folly Beach, South Carolina. And his name was Bruce, and blah, 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 blah. And he taught me all about that. So here it was, like, my husband at the time had learned about it. So he was talking to me about it. He's like, everything is energy. And that's when I started to learn about everything is energy. I didn't know that at the time, right? So I knew manifestation and I knew guidance system, but I didn't know energy. So then I go into this doctor's office, I make an appointment, and because I'm a chiropractor, he wasn't going to charge me for it. So I go in there, and he checked me. He's like, hold out your arm, and he's checking up. He's like, yes, she was right. Your ovaries and uterus aren't talking to each other. We can go ahead and work on this and get you pregnant. And I said, well, I want my husband to get me pregnant. And he goes, you are not respecting anything we're doing here today. I'm like, it's just new. It's weird. Like, you're going to understand that. And he's like, you can leave the office. And I'm like, no. Like, I want to get pregnant. He's like, you're not respecting me right now. You need to get out of my office. And I was like, oh my God. Like, I talk about, like, right, wearing a mask. I was like, what the hell? Like, I don't even know what I was doing. I was just like so confused. So anyways, I left the office and I went home and I talked more to my husband who knew about this stuff. And then I called them and they said, listen, you need now, but this is before internet, right? We don't have internet at the time. When I was in chiropractic school, we didn't have internet. You need to go and read these books and find out more about this stuff. And then if you are really serious, you come back. Go study it for 6 weeks. So gave me materials, studied it for 6 weeks, walked into the office. He checked me again. Yep, no reason uterus are not talking to each other. Why is this worse? So he said, you can't get pregnant because you're afraid of having a miscarriage. I'm like, I'm afraid of having a miscarriage? And he goes, yes. He said, your mother miscarried your twin when you were inside of her, and you were so afraid of losing that twin. That's why you want to help people all the time. That's why you want to become a doctor. And you are so afraid of losing that twin that you can't get pregnant because you're so afraid of a miscarriage. And I was like, it kind of sounded a little bit familiar. Like, you hear truth, right? Truth is truth. And I said, well, my mom would have told me if she had a miscarriage because I've been talking to her about not being able to get pregnant. He goes, go home and ask your mother if she bled during your pregnancy. So long story short, he turned everything back on. He had me do a healing process for this whole thing, losing the twin and having a fear of having a miscarriage. He did all that healing work on me, and he goes, okay, you're done. Let this process. Go home and ask your mother. Ma, did you have any bleeding with me when you were pregnant with me? I'm the oldest of 4 kids. Oh my God, dear. That's how my mom talks. I can't even believe it. Yes. She goes, 3 months into the pregnancy, I was bleeding and clots were coming out of me. So I went to the doctors and I got a sonogram because this is in the 60s. Got a sonogram and they found a heartbeat. They didn't say you lost a twin, but clearly she lost a twin. So now then that kind of validated the work with this doctor. She bled during the pregnancy. That's what he told me. And then, so long story short, the next month I was pregnant. So I said, if I am going to practice like this, what am I going to do if I'm in practice and somebody else comes to me who can't get pregnant? So not only was I in chiropractic school, I had 2 babies in chiropractic school. I learned this technique in chiropractic school, and I had an underground clinic in chiropractic school because I needed to know my SHIT before I went back to Massachusetts because, I'm not going to sit there with a book on somebody's lap. I needed to know my stuff. So literally, by the time I got back to Massachusetts, I had already been practicing this. I had 2 babies. I knew this technique in and out. And from there, I've developed more techniques off of that. So that's my manifestation story. I manifested my whole entire career because I could not get pregnant. And I learned these techniques. And now I've taught this to my children and everything else. Yeah. And I got many pregnancies under my belt now.
I mean, just the mere fact of you had no idea that you had a twin until they told you. Your mom had no idea. Technology was different back then, right? So they didn't know that she lost one of the babies and that you were still carrying that in your body.
The body weeps the tears the eyes refuse to shed. I didn't even know I was that afraid. I knew I was afraid to have a miscarriage, but I had never been pregnant. So,
oh my gosh.
But that was blocking me. Remember we talked about, are you in alignment with your dreams? Like if I had known that back then, I wouldn't have been in alignment with it, and I wouldn't have to get all that other work done. It would have been a mental emotional block, and then that root cause would have come up. And I would have I'm sorry, I'm swiping because that's how we remove it. So, yeah, sorry, you're like, what is she doing? I'm like, sorry, I'm actually doing the technique. I'm swiping it out.
That's a huge breadcrumb. I mean, seriously, something again, and it might not manifest itself right away, right? This is what we were talking about with timelines and manifestation and breadcrumbs, right? Things don't show up. You don't know why something is happening at that moment until you look back 5, 10, 15, 20 years later and you say, wow, that was the start of where I was meant to be today.
Yeah, and I want to say one more thing too. Every single person that comes in to me as a patient or who just buys my books and programs and courses, they always give me the feedback is, I always knew this. I just didn't know how to heal it. I didn't know how to do it. You know what I'm saying? Exactly what you said, Brittany. It's like hindsight is 2020, right? But that's all in our subconscious mind. All those memories are still there. And then it's like, oh yeah, I had to learn that then, and I learned this then, and I learned this then, and I learned this then. Or you know what I'm saying? Yeah, you're 100% right.
Dr. Kell, I feel like I could talk to you for another 5 hours and still not even scratch the surface of everything, to be quite honest. I have to say thank you. You have given us so many golden nuggets that I want to implement immediately. I appreciate you so much. And I do want to ask, I know you mentioned that you're a little bit booked up, but what are your services and offerings, if you can tell the people where they can find you and everything that you have to offer?
Okay, yeah. So, unfortunately, I don't have, I have a 6-month waiting list to get in, and a waiting list every day. Thank God for that, right? I'm not complaining. I'm just saying. So, what I love to do is I open up my doors, right? So I open up my practice and teach you all the tools that I do in my practice so that you can be empowered to do this in your own life. So I have social media, I have Instagram, I have TikTok, and I have Facebook. And aside from me seeing, I'm still in practice. So aside from me doing that, I do educational videos and stuff like that. Um, I have 6 different books online. I have the Dream and Drive, again, car analogy. So I teach people how to dream and drive because some people don't even know how to dream. So I teach them how to do that. So I have the Dream and Drive Manifestation Journal, the Feel Good Workbook, which has, if you're not feeling good, tons of different worksheets on how to feel better, how to feel good, all about the law of attraction and how emotions drive your life. Okay. And then I have Overcoming Everyday Roadblocks, Memory Lane. Yeah, that's shadow work, looking back. And then I have the Dream Alignment Technique, the Body Scan Technique, and When in Doubt, Test It Out. I have those books. And then I have 3 online courses. But I do want to say one more thing really quick. When you're manifesting something, I just want people to know this. When you're manifesting something, suppose you want to lose weight. So you're closing your eyes and every single day you're visualizing what you want to look like, how you want to feel, how you're going to eat, how you're going to dress, how you're going to shop, how you're going to show up, right? And you do that day after day after day. And then you go ahead and you step on the scale the next day and you say, oh, it hasn't even changed much. You look in the mirror, this is tight, this doesn't fit. It doesn't feel good to feel that way, does it? That feeling of not feeling good is just your guidance system telling you you're going the wrong way with that thought. That thought is not going to bring you to where you want to go. It's like your GPS in your car. If you're saying, I want to go to Florida, and you get in your car and you start to head, in my case, west instead of south, my GPS would say to me, you're going the wrong way, right? That's all a negative emotion is. A negative emotion means you're not in alignment. That thought is not in alignment to where you want to go or what you want to do or who you want to become. I want to say that because I want your listeners to know that negative emotions are not bad things. Negative emotions is the best thing because it's telling you you're going the wrong way with that thought.
That's powerful. Dr. Kell, I feel like I have to ask you one more question. I'm sorry.
What? That's okay.
I know we talked about manifesting and you talked about 2 different ways, right? We can manifest through like our mind and visualization, but I remember so many of my family members saying back in the day, don't speak that into existence. You would say something negative and they would say like, don't speak that into existence because your tongue is a very powerful tool.
Yes.
Do you feel that if you speak something, right? What if what you're speaking and what you're thinking are not in alignment?
So this is the thing. The universe and law of attraction responds to your feelings, not your thoughts. Your thought creates the feeling. So you can think a thought, right? You can think it or you can say it. But if you don't get an emotional response in your body, if you don't feel it, it's the feelings that are attractive. In other words, you can affirm, but if you feel nothing, that's not going to go anywhere. So, we always say our thoughts become things because they do. But the rules of the road are your thoughts create your feelings. Your feelings drive your actions, inactions, or reactions, and that produces your results. So that's why when we teach manifestation, I have a driver's daily checklist, is you visualize what you want, but you have to emotionalize it. You have to feel it in your body. That's what the athletes do, right? They visualize themselves, if you're a basketball player, making that shot. What does it feel like? Every single time they keep doing it, because your mind doesn't know the difference between reality and imagination. So it really doesn't matter, Brittany, if you think the thought or you say it. It's what are you feeling in your body? You can think a million thoughts, and as long as you don't emotionalize them, no big deal. But if you emotionalize it, then it's coming your way.
I feel like this is important because I think too often when we visualize things or we speak things, we just say what it is, right? Whatever that action or item or how, we want to be. But without the feeling attached to it, nothing can become of it. That's important.
Right. And you have to, 1,000%. That's the number one rule of manifestation, is you have to feel it in order to attract it, because the feeling ignites. So I teach 3 concepts with this: ignite your mind, fuel your body, and free your spirit. You ignite your mind by visualizing it, bringing it to life with all your senses. You fuel your body by feeling it. You fuel your body by feeling it. One of the characteristics of you looking thinner, one of the characteristics of you going out shopping and eating this particular way and showing up this way and this new version of yourself, you have to fuel your body. And then I teach people how to free their spirit, and that's when you take the new version of yourself out for a test drive. You live every day as that, maybe you make it half a day, but then the old version of yourself hijacks you, and then you shrink her down, you put her back in that rearview mirror, and you say, no, this is who I am. Then you shift gears, and then here you are, this new version of yourself again. So so it's just a process that you teach yourself. It's if you feel a negative thought and you notice yourself getting into that, you shrink that down, put it in the rearview mirror, toggle, get back in the driver's seat at that new version of yourself, because that's one way that you can manifest by default, is by continuing to think these negative thoughts, feel them in your body, and then, that's going to produce your result.
Wow. Dr. Kell, I have to say thank you again. This was, how long? Oh my gosh. I feel like I have more golden nuggets than I know what to do with. I'm so excited. And thank you. I think this is a really important message for everyone to hear, especially at the beginning of the year. This is when everyone wants to manifest, right? And I feel like the more people that can hear this and can understand how to truly manifest and how to truly understand and be in alignment with who they want to be and who they are, that,
yes,
again, the world can be a better place, because if we're happier, the world is happier.
Yeah.
So before,
absolutely,
is there anything that we didn't ask or we didn't discuss that you wanted to touch base on?
I just want people to know that really the key to health and healing is creating a life you love. It really is. If you're not happy, you're not going to be healthy. And most of the time, I also want to say 80 to 90% of all of this is mental and emotional. Okay? And have hope, because you can remove those trapped emotions from your body. You totally can. So, they can get started and sometimes you don't even know you have these trapped emotions. I just want to say this too. So in my Dream and Drive manifestation journal, that's where you put your goals in your windshield, past in the rearview mirror, and it teaches a bunch of tools in order to create a life you love on a daily basis. But in my Feel Good workbook, we talked about nothing's more important, you feel good, and why. And there's diagrams on how you feel. But also in that book, we talked about earlier issues in your tissues. The body weeps, the tears, the eyes refuse to shed. It has the lists of every single body part. It has the trapped emotions and the feelings in each body part. So it'll say neck is threat, shoulders are your shoulds, hips are standing in a situation you don't like. It goes through hands are grasping onto something too tightly, So in that Feel Good workbook, those are all the trapped emotions there. So if you want to learn more about that, then you can get the Feel Good workbook. and it talks about how emotions drive your life. So I have a website, but I don't have a lot of information there. It just talks about basically some of the techniques I do. If you go to Linktree/DR, small Kelley, so Dr. Kelly. So Linktree/Dr. period, not spelled out, DR period, Kelley, Dr. Kelly. And then I'll have I have the 3 online courses, and then I have all the books. They're instant downloads, and you can print them out. And I did that for a reason. I do have some books on Amazon. In fact, 4 of those books are on Amazon. But the thing is, if you get the books on Amazon, you can't reprint the worksheets over and over and over again. And because these are all workbooks, they're not books you're going to sit and read and whatever. They're all workbooks. So the manifestation journal, Dream and Drive Manifestation Journal, has a 30-day journal you can just print out. And you can do that for the whole entire year. The Dream and Drive workbook has tons of sheets on worksheets. The Overcoming Everyday Roadblock has tons of worksheets of why you keep hitting roadblocks over and over again. And then same thing with the dream alignment technique, the body scan technique, and when in doubt, test it out. They all have things that you can continue to print out over and over again.
This is great. Again, Dr. Kelly, thank you so much. We wish you a happy new year, and hopefully we'll get to talk soon.
We may cuss, we may offend.
Maybe don't listen to this with your kids in the car. We're here to learn and laugh, not to offend.
We are not experts, so take what resonates and professional advice where needed. Thanks for hanging out with us today.
If you've loved today's conversation, subscribe so you don't miss future episodes. Continue picking up the breadcrumbs by leaving us a review and sharing.
Follow us on socials. We are at Instagram at The Breadcrumb Effect, TikTok at The Breadcrumb Effect Pod, and YouTube at The Breadcrumb Effect.
Let us know your favorite episode or what you'd like to see.
Want to be a guest or know someone with a story? Fill out our guest interest form linked in our bios.
Finally, let us know if you found the hidden loaf. Until next time, keep picking up those breadcrumbs.
They're leading you exactly where you're meant to be.
So much. Seriously, I learned so much. I feel different already. And for this to get out there and touch people, I'm like, woo, you're amazing. You truly are amazing and a saint, and we love you so much.
Thank you. Oh my God, girls. Like I could talk to you forever. And just know I am like watching all your videos and your whole Instagram account. And I love follow the breadcrumbs. I love the breadcrumb effect. 100%. My whole life has been that.
Oh, this is crazy. I feel like we're probably going to have you on again, honestly.
If you don't, I'm happy to do it.
Like a New Year routine.
Dr. Kelly, get out to Massachusetts. I want to go to Cape Cod.
Oh, hello. Come on out. We'll bring you out in the boat. We'll bring you to the beach.
Hey, don't tell me that because we will make the trip.
Listen, I would love if you made the trip.
Okay, Danny. Hey, we're manifesting that for 2026. Oh, Dr. Cal, I don't even want to get off I'm like, I don't want to leave, but I have other stuff to do, and I'm very mad about it now. I love you so much. Thank you. You are the best.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. This was great. Thank you.